the last topic has to do with black markets. Or sometimes called informal markets. All right, so I've given a couple examples. I've talked about perhaps, like I give the sporting example, if you see one example in real life was the White Sox. The cell was empty and whatever it costs for a ticket there. There's usually for tickets for sporting events or music, stuff like that, it's not a black market. Sometimes there's what's called a secondary market, where if you have something that is maybe sold at the wrong price, right? Tickets are overpriced for a concert, tickets are overpriced for a baseball game. That's not the government stepping in, but a lot of times it's a producer or a promoter that is just spending they really just don't get the price right. A secondary market like StubHub will show up and will actually have a market that's following market forces and following market principles that actually goes on parallel to what the stadium or the concert hall or whatever is charging. And so a lot of times tickets get bought and sold at the right price on a market. All right, so that's a secondary market. Those are legal. Right? Sometimes they tell you you can't sell your tickets right in front of the stadium, but they can get sold online. All right? A black market has, and this word sort of implies some sort of illegality to it. And so if you did have something, or maybe the price was set by the government, a minimum wage, you might illegally sell your labor or get hired at a below minimum wage price. Right? Or a lot of times it happens with goods that are either rationed by the government, the quantity is limited, or the price is set where people go around the government to kind of break the law and they actually buy and sell for things that are more at the market price. It can happen with currencies, it can happen with goods. We don't really have too much government control, but back in like wars and stuff when things are rationed, people would buy and sell razor blades or meat at market prices. So the point is that whether it's legal or maybe illegal, a lot of times markets go on buying and selling things at this market price, even though the government has said that that is not supposed to happen. All right, so I'll give you an example of a secondary market. And I'll talk a little bit about why people do want to maybe there's reasons why you can't sell things for the right price, but the market will sort of work around it. So when I think of it, when I think of big like arena concerts, if you ever go buy a ticket, it's usually cheaper than it should be, and there's usually a line for it. So big promoters for big concerts they cannot charge a market price. If U2 comes to town and says, we're going to sell our tickets for $3,500 each, there will be a huge backlash. The government isn't saying don't do it. But consumers, people go online, consumer feedback is really big. Consumers would have a field day with the criticism. And so you'll find that tickets are a lot cheaper than probably there would be otherwise. And so they sell the tickets at a low price. And a lot of times there's a lineup around the building waiting to get them. Sometimes the tickets go on sale at midnight and they're sold out at 12:01 a.m. Sometimes people will actually camp out with camping gear for days. That's a very bad way to allocate those resources. So you've got your tent, you're waiting for days, you find out that the stadium is full at this quantity and all these people in line didn't get them. So the market is inefficient in that way. But there's a reason why you can't do it. It's not a law, but society says you can't really overcharge people. So this is an example of a price ceiling, that if you were to charge too much, other people would punish you. Now, how is this eliminated? Well, what usually happens is that if you are one of these lucky people, or maybe a radio station buys them up, or maybe a big, there's businesses that find a way, somebody gets these tickets. Well, all they do, so this is like Ticketmaster, they go to a secondary market. All right? And if you go on StubHub or anything like that, you'll find that, yes, the tickets were $250 if you could get one, but they might be selling for $3,500. Depends on the event, depends on demand. But these are going to be resold on a secondary market. In fact, StubHub and other markets like this actually find the market price. And so, if this is the wrong price, this is disequilibrium. But equilibrium is actually found in another market where the price rises and eventually the stadium is full of people who want to be there. All right, so that's the idea of the secondary market. And that winds up being more efficient than other markets, right? If you were to keep this locked in, you would have a waste of resources. You would have people wasting time and wasting money trying to get those tickets. You might have somebody who just got lucky getting a ticket who didn't really want to go. This market is going to put those tickets into the hands of the people who really want it, who are willing to pay for it. Nobody has a ticket they don't really want because it's everybody who has one is actually willing to pay for it. But you wind up without a line of people who go home empty-handed, and you actually wind up with people making money, and most likely more concerts to attend. All right, so what we've talked about to sum up, disequilibrium versus equilibrium. We've talked about shifts in supply and demand, and then we finally talked about price ceilings, price floors, and comparing a price ceiling with equilibrium, and show that there actually is two markets at once, the actual market and the secondary market. One has a price control and one does not. This one actually leads to higher happiness for both sides.